Hey guys, Scott Russell, Football Scoop. Very excited to get going again this afternoon with a great clinic here from Gabe Fertitta down at Catholic High here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Just want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been incredibly well received, our first 2 days of doing clinics, and I look forward to doing a lot more of these. I appreciate everybody who's filled out. Had a couple hundred guys offer to do clinics, which is fantastic. I love how this profession is willing to share with each other and just trying to be the best mentors for young men that we can possibly be. With that, I'm turning it over to Doug Samuels, who's our content manager, also a high school football coach up in the great state of Michigan. Doug, talk us through this, buddy.
Thanks, Scott. I just got a few reminders for you guys. I want to give Gabe as much time as we can so we can talk some good old line stuff. But, everyone's coming in with their mic muted. Just as a reminder, kind of keep that muted so we can give Gabe the floor here as much as we can. But Coach Fertitta is going to talk developing offensive linemen for zone and gap run schemes. So Gabe, the floor is yours, man.
All right, man. Thank y'all. Really honored to do this. Appreciate you guys putting this together. And I've said this often about the coaching community. I think one of the coolest things about it is all of the coaches' willingness to share ideas. And I think that's one of the things that our profession really gets right. And this instance, this part where everybody's got to be at home and nobody can go to work and all that, the people that have just come out of the woodwork to share and help each other and share ideas, it's inspiring. And I appreciate Football Scoop kind of putting an umbrella of, hey, we're going to put our name and our brand on some clinic talks for everybody. So thank you guys for that. Thank y'all for having me. So I'm going to grab the screen here and then get rolling. And we're going to try to have, if you guys have questions during the talk, something you just need clarified, then go ahead and type those in. And if we can get to them during the talk, we'll get to them. And then, of course, we'll have some time for question and answer afterwards. And, of course, the playlist that I've got, share it with everybody, whoever wants it. Of course, it'll be on Football Scoop as well when the talk's over. So I'm going to talk about developing linemen. And I was given this talk about a month ago, and I don't really I try to not count things like how many Division I players and all this. Every kid is really special to me. But in giving the talk, I thought, you know what? There's been quite a few kids that have been on teams that I've coached that have gone on to play Division I football as O-linemen or tight ends. And so I started counting. And this is my 14th year coaching. And I've had 14 kids go on to be Division I offensive linemen or tight end fullbacks in my 14 years. And so these are some of those guys. The top left's a kid named Ryan Gibson that played for me at Stanislaus. He started a bunch of games for Cal Berkeley. This kid right here in the middle played at Catholic, Zach Tom. He's the starting center for Wake Forest. His brother plays for the Saints, Cam Tom. Over here to the right of the screen is a kid by the name of Chris Cameron, who LSU fans should know a little bit about. That's Cam Cameron's son. He played tight end for us at Catholic. Bottom left, that's Ben Miles. That's Les Miles' boy. He played fullback, tight end for us at Catholic. And just, we've had a bunch of these guys, and it kind of led me to the thought of like, did these guys have it before we ever started coaching them, or were they made? That age-old question, are leaders born or are they made? Are O-linemen born or are they made? I would tell you that the vast majority of these 14 guys, they were born, okay? Cam and Zach Tom, this guy right here and his brother, I want to beg his parents to have like one more test tube baby for us, so we can just, have one more dominant O-lineman from their family at Catholic, So that's all great and fine, but I got to thinking about these guys. These are the guys that we've had as O-linemen that did not sign any kind of Division I college scholarship. This guy on the left is a kid named Alex Myrick. He started for us at guard at Stanislaus the year we were 10-0 in the regular season, finished 12-1 and had one of the most historic seasons in high school football history, really. We were 0-9 the year before, didn't win a single game. The very next year went undefeated in the regular season. That's only been done once or twice in the history of high school football. This kid was our starting right guard. And in this picture, 5'9", 165, 170 pounds, This kid right here has a state championship ring, 2 of them from Catholic High. Played center for us and then tore his shoulder up and had to play tight end. This was one of our tight end fullbacks in 2017. And I love him to death. He's one of my favorite players I've ever coached. Hunter Munson's about 5'6", 325, 330. These guys were not born as O-linemen. I think they were some of the guys that were made. So I kind of going to go through the process of how some of that happens, and then also talk about some specific double teams and things like that. So getting into some of the philosophy of this, in my opinion, probably the least coached position on the field on any given Friday night, maybe even on Saturdays too. There are very few people out there that really know how to coach and develop O-linemen. O-line coaches are if you can learn how to coach the offensive line, you'll never be out of a job. And I was taught that from my very first time coaching by a guy named John Williams, who forced me to coach the O-line as a graduate assistant instead of receivers, which was what I played. It's the most important position group, in my opinion, on a high school football field. I think in college, I think in the NFL, I think you need to have those dynamic quarterbacks, the dynamic receivers and playmakers and all of that. I think in high school, if you have a great O-line and just okay skill guys, you can win state championships, many of them, if you can really develop those players, because typically those are the players that nobody else wants. You put them up on the board and everybody's seeing where a kid's going to play and all that once they get into high school. And you really get, it's the land of the misfit toys a lot of times, those players. But if you can really teach them some techniques and some fundamentals, they can really do some things for you in high school that can help you become, a dominant offense. It's the least natural position in all the sports. There's no question about it. You think about, and all of this stuff, I know people have probably heard before, but there is no position in sports that plays with their back to the ball for the entire game. The only position in any sport that plays with their back to the ball the whole game are the offensive linemen. They don't run. I'm going to talk about how they are supposed to move. Kids grow up their whole life learning how to run. And if guys are running off the ball for us, okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this in terms of the fundamentals, but our guys aren't running, and they've been taught to run on the balls of their feet their whole life, and we want all their cleats in the ground, so it's very unnatural for them. They got to have a lot of individual time. And in high school, this can be tough when you have two-way players. We've done this in at a small school where we did have two-way guys. Right now at Catholic, we're lucky enough that we don't have to do that. But they need about 60 minutes a day on Mondays and Tuesdays to let me get this thing out of the way. There we go. On Mondays and Tuesdays to really be able to develop themselves. And they got to have meeting and film time, 30 minutes a day to review the practice film. For us, that's the biggest thing, is the practice film. We watch the game film, but the practice film really is what is the most important to us. If you're not filming practice, I said this when I gave this talk in Mississippi a month or so ago, but if you're not filming your practice, shame on you at this point, okay? Because you can have a cell phone with Huddle and get a kid. We don't have a million managers and people that just want to come film practice and all that. As a matter of fact, we have none. We have no managers. So who's filming practice for us? It's kids. It's players. It's guys who are injured. We have a guy who's going to be drafted probably in the first round, maybe in the second this year from the NFL draft, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. when Clyde was hurt his senior year for a little while during the season, guess who was filming practice? Clyde was. And, you know, you got to film it for them, and especially for the linemen, because, you know, they need to see it, because you're asking them to move in a way that is completely foreign to what they're normally used to. And if you're not filming it and then showing it to them and correcting it, then you can't win state championships with just okay skill players. You're going to be reliant upon guys who are extremely skilled at the skill positions, and then just be okay at the O-line spot. And then this is the last part. Fundamentals need to tie into the scheme and the timing. I have seen a lot of guys switch to zone blocking who were wing T guys or who were veer guys. And one of the pitfalls in that is the fundamentals of what you're teaching to the linemen and how you want them to block. They have to match what you're telling the tailback. They have to match how you're getting him the ball. All of these things have to all tie in together, because you can knock people off the ball in the modern day shotgun zone running stuff. You can knock people off the ball 3 yards back, just sprinting off the ball and knocking them back. But the timing of that, the block sustaining of that, has changed, because in the under center stuff, under center veer or whatever, you know, we play John Curtis just about every year, and their guys sprint off the ball. And that works for them because the ball is past them so fast. When the back's in the shotgun, if you sprint off the ball and you knock a D lineman 3 yards back, but you can't sustain the block, he's going to be off the block and back at the line of scrimmage, sitting there waiting on the tailback to get to the line of scrimmage. So some of the things that we probably have been taught going back to when we played, or what was taught to us, or that kind of stuff about knocking people off the ball, some of that you have to be able to change fundamentally what you're asking the linemen to do. And what we're asking them to do now in the zone game and the gap game with guys in the shotgun or tailbacks 7.5 yards deep when we're under center, which is what we do, is a lot more about block sustaining than it is about knockback. Now, you got to be careful, because you tell little Alex Myrick, the little bitty guard I showed you, you tell him, hey, I don't care if you knock the guy back, I just want you to sustain the block, and he's going to get his butt kicked, okay? So you have to be careful with how you word this stuff to him. But I'm going to show you a little bit about some of those fundamentals and things of block sustaining and what we're teaching there. All right, so practice fundamentals. We start every single practice day with QC exchange, and we start every one of them under center. That's part of our philosophy. We may only snap the ball under center, 5 times in a game, but we're going to start every practice with under center QC exchange, because at the end of the day, part of my philosophy is you better be able to take a snap from under center and hand the ball off. If you're on one of those critical ends of the field, the -1 or the +1, you better be able to get under center and hand the ball off. And that's part of my philosophy. That's not necessarily everybody's, but we're going to start every practice with under center QC exchange and then work through some of the meshes for Qs and tailbacks during that time. But one of the things I see quite often, whether I'm going to a practice and watching it somewhere or in pregame warmups as we're about to play somebody else's, centers snapping QC exchange and never taking a step. And you got guys snapping QC exchange with no play in mind, and they don't have to take a step. They don't have to make any kind of footwork. And so all their snaps are dead on. And then they get in the game and their snaps are errant because they're having to, try to work to reach a shade or reach to a 3 technique or something like that. So you've got to have the centers have a play in mind and make them take footwork during QC exchange. I know that sounds pretty elementary, but you'd be amazed how many times I'll look over there in pregame warmups or go to a practice somewhere and the centers are snapping the ball, then they turn around and look back to see where the snap ended up. If you're having some QC exchange problems, one thing you can do is get one of those flat bags and swing it at the center like a baseball bat, so that he feels some pressure to have to put his hands up after he snaps the ball. So while that's going on, our QC exchange, we're going to do our skip pull drill, which I'm going to show you how we set that up. That's with our guards, tackles, and H's. That's all going on simultaneously. And then when the centers return, we go to something we call bench drill, which is something that I stole from a guy that coached with me in junior college, Alex Atkins. I showed the players we've had that have gone on to play Division I. And on the same day, a couple of months ago, I got phone calls from two former O-line coaches that I've had. One, Sanders Davis, and the other, Alex Atkins. Both of them landed big Division I O-line jobs on the same exact day. Alex is now the O-line coach at Florida State. Sanders is the O-line coach at Rice. But from Alex, I stole this bench drill, which is part of our everyday drill work. And I'll show that to you. It's all listed right there, what we do. But it's a way to get a ton of reps in really quickly, just kind of getting the guys warmed up, but also going through some of the fundamentals. Shoots, step, drive, fit on the boards, pretty generic. And then the pod work. If you ask me, week to week, what's the things that we do the most in terms of practice reps with our O-linemen? We do the boards, and we do shoots, and we'll hit the sled and do all that kind of stuff. But the thing that really consumes the majority of our time is pod work. And what I mean by that is 2 or 3 linemen working together against a look of what we're going to see on that Friday night. And what our O-line coach will do is he'll go through the game plan, and he will make a list of, this is every single block that we'll have to execute on Friday night based on how they line up, based on what plays we have in the game plan. And through the week, those blocks are going to get worked in pods versus every possible combination. And you've all done this. You stand behind the pod and you're telling the D lineman, hey, you go this way, linebacker, you go that way, and then you work through it. So I've got some clips of that along with some game clips to match up to it. And then we'll hit the sleds about once a week, give or take. We use the 5-man and we use the Crowther. I'm a huge Crowther sled fan. If you're really into developing O-linemen and you're a zone gap run scheme guy and you don't have a Crowther sled, you got to get one. Because for no other reason than it will help you to teach what I feel like is the most difficult block in all of the zone or gap run scheme, which is, I'm going to show you one of that block here in some of the drill work. But get you a Crowther. It's old school now. It's really old school, but those things to me are going to help teach the fundamentals that you're after. So in season weekly schedule for us, and I'm going to try to get through this quickly so we can get to some film. Saturday, the O-line coach will grade the film. He'll send it to me. Sunday, here's our routine. Our kids come in on Sunday along with our coaches. So it's a team run and lift with special teams meetings, and the O-linemen will usually begin their individual meetings during the special teams meeting, unless one of those guys is on a special team besides PAT. This year we had a center that was just a freak athlete. He was on kick coverage. He was on kick return. He was on everything. And so they'll go through meetings of the film review from the previous Friday night. One of the things that I just hammer on all of our coaches is when they show film in these meetings, it needs to be in an organized playlist, okay? Not just going through the clips of, say, practice or game in order. They need to be in a logical order of clips. Like, hey, I'm going to pull out from the game, 25 clips that are the most important ones for me to correct. There's no need to watch the sprint out rep where everybody stepped right and everything was fine. And like, there really isn't anything to coach about it. We gotta be as efficient with our time as we can be. So ahead of time, pulling the clips out, getting them organized in a playlist to show whether it's in practice or from the game review. And then we'll preview the upcoming opponent. Again, organized playlists, how they play down blocks, how they play reach blocks, all that kind of stuff. Showing only the things that are pertinent. What's their most common front runs that we have that have worked against them. We'll install on Sunday any new or exotic run game. So run game that is, stuff that we maybe normally wouldn't run just in our base stuff. We'll try to install some of that on Sunday. We'll go over our formations and shifts and motions, especially for the H's and tackles. We move the tackles around a lot, along with our H's and fullbacks. I don't have a picture of this, but I can send it to you guys. Stole this from the head coach at Mountain Brook High School in Alabama. I heard him speak one time, and he had his JV guys fill out a scouting report sheet on the D linemen that they were going to be playing that week in the varsity. So we hand those sheets out to the JV kids, and each kid is responsible for one D lineman or linebacker that we're going to have to block. And they fill out a whole bunch of information about that player, including particular clips that the guys should go watch. If it's a D lineman, how does he play down blocks is one of the questions on there. Does he run over the top, or is he a penetrator? Okay. What's his favorite pass rush move? That is the way for us as coaches. Now we've created, we don't have GAs. Well, there's 10 GAs right there. All our JVO linemen, they're GAs. They go scouring through the film, trying to find tips and tells. Hey, if he's got his right hand down, he normally has his left hand down. It's a twist. We've had guys find that stuff for us in the film. So we pass those sheets out to them on Sunday, and then we go outside for a little walkthrough. I don't know if that line on my screen or what, how that got on there.
Yeah, I think it's on yours.
Huh. I don't know how to get it off of there.
No, all good.
All right. Roll anyway. Monday, install meeting, heavy install. 45-minute meeting, cover all the run game install for the week. There's very little film shown on Monday because when I say we're scheme heavy, I mean, we run a lot of shifts and motions. Now it's inside zone, it's outside zone, it's power, but there's a lot of ins and outs to what we do. So that 45-minute meeting is almost all just straight up install, mostly X's and O's. Go outside for practice, QC exchange and skip pull drill, and then individual work. Here's our individual on a Monday. We do the bench drill, which I'm going to show you. We do shoots, power, and flat steps. I'll show you that. And then it's inside zone focus in the pod work. So what's the look we're going to see? And then focusing strictly on inside zone in that individual segment. A little team takeoff segment, inside drill. And then we go to power, focus and individual through pod work. And then some pass pro work, one-on-one pass rush, down reach base against the D lineman and team. That's our weekly Monday. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. You guys will have access to this. You can go back and look at it to dissect it if you want. I want to get to the tape. Tuesday, varsity guys will lift. Then we have an O-line meeting. The vast majority of that is correction from Monday's practice, and it's got to be in an organized playlist. We're not just going to go through all 100 clips of practice. It's going to be just the stuff that needs to be corrected. We film the individual with either a hurt lineman or a JV lineman. So everything is filmed. All our individuals filmed. They can go back and watch it on their own. We do something called huddle homework, which I don't have on here, but I can, if anybody's interested in that, things that they're looking for when they go home to watch the tape, takes them 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is. In that meeting, we'll install anything new for the day, any kind of changes from Monday, and then individual, very similar to Monday, except we add in some sled work. Wednesday, we changed to this year, and again, I'm not going to get into it. It's a totally different clinic talk, but Wednesday is our walkthrough day. So we go out there on a Wednesday, we might be on the field for 20 minutes and then we send the kids home. So, but we do have a big O-line meeting, again, similar to the way Tuesday was, correcting what happened on Tuesday, anything changes, install, blocking assignments, all of that. QC exchange, a little bit of 10 to 15 minute individual, but it's very slow paced. We go through goal line short yardage on Wednesday. We have no helmets on. So it's just tennis shoes, no helmets. As a matter of fact, it's like the one day we let them wear anything other than what has been issued to them for practice. So they'll wear funny looking bucket hats and whatever else on that day. And then we do a run polish segment. The run polish segment is like 24 runs that we really feel like we need to polish up one more time on Wednesday. Now, Thursday is different so Thursday is more like our old Wednesday. We have shoulder pads and helmets on. We got the O-line meeting. A lot of it's from practice. Sometimes on that Thursday or Wednesday meeting is when the JV guys will present their scout sheets to the varsity guys. And then Thursday, there's your practice plan, essentially. QC exchange, some individual. Most of that is correction from run polish. Go through our pregame routine, and then we do some blitz pickup with the running backs and H's. That's all carded. It's very low impact. And then we go through kind of your typical game script against the scout team, but we're popping a little bit on Thursday, more than what we used to do. It's a totally different conversation, but I was very skeptical of this. We did a ton of research on switching to this in the off season last year. Our kids were very skeptical of it. They thought it was going to make us soft and, not enough practice time. In short, loved it. Kids loved it. Our coaches loved it. I thought we were fresher for games on Friday nights. I thought we played faster this year than we've ever played before. Friday, they take a nap at the end of the school day. We have a prayer service. We have an O-line individual meeting that goes over the whiteboard drawings of every single run we have in the game plan. That whiteboard is covered in ink from one end to the other. We go through every single one of those. We review any calls or checks, and then we go through all of our one-word play calls with the O-linemen in that meeting. We have a bunch of those. We've expanded that a good bit this year, given the one-word play calls. We really enjoyed those this year. Then we do a full O walkthrough, which is the opening script, special teams meeting, full team meeting. When we get to the stadium, it's individual and QC exchange, one-on-one pass rush against the D lineman. We get our team reps, we kick it off. That's our weekly in-season routine for the linemen. Glad we got through that because I want to get to some tape, okay? Let me see how I'm running on time here. So this is an example of the pod work. And so this is inside zone, okay? It's inside zone to the left. And we were working this 4-eye with the backside guard and tackle in pod work, all right, this week. We knew that was going to be something that was really important. The guard taking that jab step, getting a second step vertical. The tackle is working lateral on his footwork, getting to cover that up, but he's getting bumped from the guard. But the guard's got his eyes on that backside linebacker, okay? So there's an example of the pod work, all right? And then watch this clip. This is that week. This is that Friday night, okay? And these are the exact same two guys right here who are working that exact pod, bumping it, getting to the backside linebacker, and giving us a really, really big running lane there. So that's what I mean by if you said, hey, what's the thing you guys do more than anything else for individual time during the week? It's these pods of all the little individual blocks and combinations that we're going to have to execute on any given Friday night on any given play. Okay, so that's the best example I can show you of the pod work, right? Here's the pod work. This is, say, like Tuesday, all right? And then those exact same two guys doing that exact block on a Friday night. All right, here's some of our shoot work. They're working just flat steps on the boards under the chutes, okay? Nothing really fancy about it. You guys all probably do this, get the second step in the ground, punching on the second step, all of that kind of stuff. But the key here is learning how to, for us, we have a lot more emphasis on the lift of these blocks than we do on the knockback. Because if you're going to talk about block sustain, you need to lift the defender more than you need to worry about knocking him back. So initially, we're trying to have good flat backs, and that's why you see the shoot. We're at the very end of the shoot. I don't want them doing these blocks all the way through the shoot because I don't want their backs that flat for that long. I want their backs flat for the initial knockback, and then I want them to work on their hips. If you watch 74 here, right at the end of the clip, working his hips closer to the hips of the D lineman. That's so that we can sustain the block more than worry about knocking the guy back. Okay, so there's some of our shoot work. All right, this is the bench drill. Okay, so let me try to explain this, and then I'll go through the clips. So stole this again from Alex, my buddy, who's now the O-line coach at Florida State. I don't know if he still does it or not, but this is a genius way to get a ton of blocks in a very short period of time. So we have terms for hand usage, okay? If an O-lineman is only going to put one hand on a defender, we call that half. If it's the hand, like you see Big 68 doing here, if it's the hand, we call that half bench. If he was going to use the top of the shoulder, all right, and use sort of that chicken wing type block, which we use, we call that power. So if he was only going to use one hand and use that sort of top of the shoulder chicken wing, that would be half power, okay? So half bench, half power, all right? If he was going to put two hands on the guy, that would be full bench. And we never use full power. We don't ever do that. Okay, so here's the drill. We're going to go through every single scenario of a zone block in about 4 minutes for every guy. So if you zoomed out of this, our entire O-line, and we got a bunch of them, and H's and tight ends, there might be 25 kids. They're strung out from sideline to sideline in partners, okay? And they're going to execute half to half is what we're doing here. So in other words, I'm assuming I'm a half bench guy and he stays in half bench. So you notice 68 picks his right foot up, puts it right back down. Okay. He would be like the postman in a zone or a power double team. Okay. Postman in the zone or power double team, pick the foot up, put it down, second step through the crotch, and the defender stays. So we call this half to half. He's in half and he stays in half. All right, sorry, excuse me. I didn't let the clip run long enough. If you watch the defender in the middle of the clip, he moves and 68 puts a full hand on it. So this is half to full. Okay, so I'm assuming it's half, and then the guy moves into my gap, and now I'm full. All right, so this one is half to full. I assume it's a half bench. He moves, I'm into full bench. So it's also a way to block movement, okay? Because we do all these drills and the guys are all standing still and they don't move. And then in the game, they start in a 3 and then they move to a shade or a 2-odd, right? So that's what we're doing here. So there's one, all right? So then we go to the next one, all right? Here is full to half. So if you notice 61, he's stepping with his left foot like it's inside zone to the left. And he's assuming it's full bench because the guy's in his gap. So he's going to go try to put two hands on him, and then the guy moves backside. So now he works to a half. All right, so we would say, all right, hey, we're going to shade him to his left, full to half. All right, so full, and he moves to half. And now there's a lot of coaching points here, but pressing that near knee through the crotch, getting all the cleats in the ground. All right, but just showing you the drill work here. So you had half to full and full to half. All right. All right. Now here's one half to half. Okay. So he's assuming it's half, right? The guy's on his backside gap. How do I know the guy's on his backside gap? Because he's stepping with his other foot. Okay. So he's stepping with the other foot, vertical through the crotch. Would like his elbow to be, I'd rather not be able to see his elbow, but just notice that the defender is staying there. So this would be half to half. All right, what's the only one we hadn't seen? Would be full to full, okay? And we do these in both directions for both guys, and we rapid fire these suckers, right? All right, here we go. Shade him to his left, full to full. Ready, beat, blow the whistle. Bang, they go. It's a very short rep, right back to it, and then to the next one. So you get about 8 blocks per man in like 2 minutes, and then flip it. The other guy's up, and they go through all 8 blocks, okay? And we do this drill every day, and it takes us about, initially it might take you 8-10 minutes, right? And then as you do it every day, you get through it, you roll through it, and you're on to the next thing. But at least they've worked movement, and they've worked pretty much every man type block that they might have to work in that practice, okay? All right, let's talk about the drive block. First thing is we talk about mental weight. So if I'm an offensive lineman, it doesn't matter what play it is. On every single play, I need to know where is my mental weight. And what that means is I'm going to put my mental weight, mentally, I'm going to put my weight on the foot opposite that I'm stepping with first. Okay. So if I'm going to know I have to step with my right foot, if I got to take a pass set and I'm the right guard or right tackle, my mental weight is all on my left foot. Okay. So in a drive block, I got to know where my mental weight is. All right. And then what's my angle of departure? How wide is the guy? We don't really do the naming of steps so much anymore, as much as we just teach guys about taking steps based on the width of the defender. Okay. So how wide the defender is that I have to drive block is going to determine the angle of the toe. Is it dead straight ahead? Is it angled a little bit? Is it open a good bit? How far do I have to go based on the leverage? So mental weight, angle of departure. Punch on the second step. That is a huge coaching point for a ton of our blocks, is punching on the second step. It times it up better when there's a double team. If it's a drive block, it's way more powerful to take your first step is angle of departure. All right, sets the angle. The second step is for blow delivery. First step, angle of departure. Second step, blow delivery. And if the guys are like, man, I want to punch sooner. All right, if you want to punch sooner, then what do you need to do? Get your dang second step in the ground faster. Okay, and that second step has got to be vertical. It's got to gain ground. All right, we use double under for our drive blocks. It's not as funky guys like McNally and that kind of thing, but we do use the double under. Okay, and we try to lift more than drive. All right, and we talk about an airplane takeoff versus a helicopter. We don't want them to just come straight up like a helicopter. It should look airplane takeoff. They're driving as they're gaining some lift through that drive block. Okay. Accelerate the feet on contact, but we will not sacrifice power for foot speed. And what I mean by that is you see a lot of guys who they've been brought up in the agility ladders and they're Fred Flintstone feet in the drive block, and they're never actually putting power in the ground. So we will sacrifice some of our foot speed for power into the ground. Okay. Now we want them to try to, there are guys who can put a lot of power in the ground really quickly. Well, those are the guys you saw on the first slide, that are playing D1 ball, but power into the ground, really important. Accelerate the feet on contact. We're going to try to press our hips to the D lineman's hips and unweigh the defender. We're going to try to lift his center of gravity up so that he cannot get off the block. And then the importance of the duck walk or demeanor walk. Okay. Weight on the inside half of the foot, all of the cleats in the ground, knees inside the ankles. All of those things are really, really important for our guys as they're going through a drive block. So here's some drive blocks on the Crowther. And the Crowther's good for teaching this kind of thing because you can really work on the lift. All right. We say punch on the second step. And, in reality, all right, if I'm being truthful, if they punch on the 1.5 step, I feel like we're getting it done. Okay. But like 77 here, I'd like for him to hold his hands back just a little bit longer so he can punch on that second step. But these guys are both working those drive blocks. Watch the guy on the right. You see his hands start pretty low here. Okay. So his hands are low because we want this to have more lift than punch. I think punch in the run game is overrated. I really don't think you get a whole lot out of having a phenomenal hand punch in the run game. You get way more out of body position and lift in the run game than you do out of, in my opinion, straight ahead push from the hands. So you see the guy on the right's hands going from low to high. All right, that'll help him get that lift. And then you see them both trying to work their hips close to the Crowther there. Okay. Here's a game rep drive block. Okay. left tackle here. All right. Sets the angle. All right. And then working his hips to the hips of the defender. All right. Not doing Fred Flintstone feet, but he is getting some power in the ground, putting his feet, picking them up, putting them down. And he's just continuing to try to put his hips on the hips of the defender. All right. Now I'll say this. Our linemen, they need to understand when they have a guy on the ropes. Okay. So if I fire off the ball, lift and drive, and I start pressing my hips to the hips of the defender, and I feel like I got him on the ropes, my hands are locked in, I got a great base to drive from, screw all the duck walking and demeanor walking and hips to hips and all that, and let's go run and bury the guy. So they have to learn, when am I in the point of just, hey, sustain this block, and when do I have the guy on the ropes and I need to go ahead and go bury him and be nasty? Because you certainly don't want to sacrifice the nastiness of the O-line play. And, I think we do a good job of that. I don't think anybody we play would ever tell you that our O-line was soft. I certainly don't think that. But they do need to understand when they can do that. All right, here's another drive block example. Going to be the right guard, okay? And again, mental weight on the left foot, right? Set the angle of the block. Now he's taking his inside step because he's protecting the inside here, okay? This is inside zone, and we allow him to inside step it if they're worried about an inside move. So mentally, his weight's on his right foot, all right? And then he's going to work the drive block, but notice it from this position. From right here, instead of getting his feet close together and running them, we're going to try to press our hips into his hips, all right, and unweigh the defender, okay? Again, not running off the ball, more trying to unweigh the guy. All right, here's another one. This is from the center, okay? Going against a much bigger, much heavier guy, all right? Set the angle and then pressing his hips into the hips of the guy. It's not a dominant block, but notice that he's sustaining the block for longer, and the ball carrier is able to get through that because of the block sustain. All right, another drive block example from the left tackle here. All right. This guy was able to put a lot of power in the ground and move his feet pretty quickly. So, but he is a little more a toe guy than I would like. Right? I would rather his feet be a little bit more in the ground, but notice the lift and the hips, okay? The lift and the hips. Unweigh the defender, lift him up off of his spot, get his center of gravity higher. All right, I'm going to skip ahead here off the drive blocks and get to some of the combo stuff I wanted to talk about. So here's our inside zone combo, all right? And this is, again, something, stole this from Alex when we went and visited them at Georgia Southern. And, man, it's been great for us on the inside zone stuff. And when I was very first taught inside zone, one of the cardinal sins was if the two double team guys, if they overlapped, if they got one behind the other, that was like the biggest no-no on inside zone. Well, we're teaching that now. With this inside zone combo, okay? We don't use this in every situation, okay? And I don't have enough time to get into what situation and all that. I'm going to just show you the combo, talk to you about how we coach it and drill it, show you a couple game reps, and then go to the one on power. But you really could do a whole clinic on just one of these two combos I'm going to show you. It keeps the double from getting split, keeps both players' shoulders square. It allows for a dominant foot to drive through the crotch of the defender, which you'll see. And it keeps the drive man of the double team fully covering up the defender when the post man leaves. All right, so here's what I mean by that. This is a screenshot. So you're looking at, this is inside zone to the left, and this is the right tackle and right guard on a 3 technique. And so this is what I mean by overlap. So the tackle's left foot is right through the middle of the guard. Both guys' shoulders are square. We want the tackle's hand on the small of the back of the guard, all right? And when the guard leaves it for the linebacker, the tackle is already fully covered up. Whereas when you're only half a man, when the guard has half a man and the tackle has half a man, when the guard leaves, the tackle's got to hurry up to get over there to get a full man on the down guy. So what this helps you is the guard leaves and the tackle's already in a full man on the double team, okay? So here's when I mean by post man, it's the inside guy, okay? So the inside guy on the double team, he's going to settle or jab step. In my opinion, the post man on this is the hardest block to teach high school O-linemen, even college guys. I've coached them in college too. And these are hard to teach, okay? Always step with a foot away from your help in any double team, okay? Is a truism for us in anything. Right? You got a double team, step with the foot away from your help first, okay, in this case, because that protects you, all right? The postman will use half bench or half power. For our guys that are stronger, we let them use the half bench. For our guys that are a little smaller, that still aren't strong enough to really knock a guy back on this, we'll let them use the half power, right? We teach this on the Crowther sled. I did a whole clinic talk on near leg, near shoulder contact for the run the power guys. If you ever get a chance, you want to go back and check that one out. But we want the near leg and the near shoulder of the postman to be down in the ground and the shoulder underneath the other shoulder of the D lineman, okay, pad under pad, right? His job is to lift the defender or set the table for the drive man, okay? His eyes are on his gap or his cylinder, not the man. Don't go left to go right. In other words, we're going to keep this vertical by the postman. So if it's like a 4-eye, we're not going to go all the way over there, then all the way back. We just want body presence, okay? Could use what we call a bump technique there. When he comes off the double team, he's got to use near leg departure. So I'll show you what that means here in the drill work. Only come off the double when your cylinder's threatened. Down in distance, critical here, right? 3rd and 1, I'm coming off the double way faster than I am on 1st and 10, first play of a drive, all right? If the linebacker plays behind the double team, press back into the down line, okay? The drive man, we use lateral, vertical footwork for the drive man. So it's like a shuffle drive, okay? He's going to overlap the postman, try to stay square as best as he can, although they do get turned a little bit in this sometimes. If the postman is invested in the down, put your near hand on the small of the back and the far hand on the cup or the breastplate of the shoulder pad of the D-line. Okay? Near foot dominant through the crotch, all right? When the postman leaves, clamp down, all right? You're in danger of this being a soft block, so you got to work this with some physical presence. This, in my opinion, is a little softer than the old school way of working the double team on inside zone. All right, so here's the drive man. So if you're looking at the guy on the left, okay, he's the left tackle, and the Crowther pad is the 3 technique, and it's inside zone to the right. He's going lateral, and vertical for the drive, okay? Lateral, vertical, drive, all right? That's my boy Alex at Georgia Southern right there. When they were over there working this drill work, okay? Here's our guys, right? Lateral, then vertical for the drive. And then notice how they're working their hips, okay? All right, here's another one. 61, the guy on your right, the center, is doing a really good job working lateral, then getting square, vertical on the double team, okay? Some more of it, all right? Love the feet there, all right? Here's the inside guy, all right? So now, all right, 74, all right, this is inside zone to the left, say, all right? And he is the right guard, and the pad is the 3. So he's going to pick his foot up, put it right back down. Second step, vertical in through the crotch. He's using the half bench. He's got his shoulder down under the pad, and he's lifting. And then when he comes off, he's got to come off with his left foot. See how his left foot's what moves first, okay? Again, settle step. Now look at 69. What's he using? He's using the half power, okay? He's using the top of the shoulder, half power. 60's using the half bench, right? Sometimes it's just a preference thing, all right? That's the inside man, the post man on the double, all right? Here's the full picture, okay? So this is right guard, right tackle, inside zone to the left, 3 technique. So start with the post man. Pick it up, put it down, pad under pad, vertical through the crotch, come off when my cylinders threaten. Right tackle, lateral, lateral, working to overlap the guard, and then vertical when I take it over, okay? Here's a game clip. All right, right guard, right tackle, inside zone to the right, okay? Pick it up, put it down by the left guard, through the crotch. He gets crossed over a little bit there, but look at how the left tackle is overlapping, right, on the 3 technique, all right? And what this allows is it allows the tackle to be fully invested on the down when the guard leaves, okay? All right, so this is how we teach it from the very beginning. We go ahead and fit them in right now, okay? So this would be like a right tackle, right guard, and they're already fitted in the double. So the right guard's got his hand on the small of the right tackle has his hand on the small of the back of the down, all right? And they're just working it in a pod, okay? And then he takes it over, the guard leaves it, okay? Doug, hit me up whenever you need me to stop, but I'm going to just roll till you tell me to stop.
Yeah, you're good whenever you want to wrap up. We just got one question kind of in the queue.
Okay.
Keep rocking. Keep rocking. You're good.
Keep rolling.
All right. So here it is for our guys, okay? Left guard, left tackle, 3 technique. Left guard's going to pick it up, put it down, second steps through the crotch, and notice the pad under the pad. And what did I say his main job was? Lift the defender. Watch how the defender's helmet kind of lifts up and his center of gravity lifts up. That is the guard's job. Lift and set the table for the tackle, all right? Tackle, lateral, lateral, hand on the small of the back. You see his hand right there, small of the back. Get it fully covered up for when the guard leaves, I'm all the way on it, okay? Overlap, double team on inside zone, all right? Give you a couple more of them. Okay, here we'll be looking at, now this is with the center and the backside guard. So the center is going to step, lift it up. He's lifting 97. It's inside zone to the right. Now the guard is lateral, lateral. So the guard's lateral, lateral, hand on the small of the back. All right, there's the overlap double team. Okay, here's another one. Okay, right tackle, right guard. Lift it, overlap, press, okay? Again, we don't use it in every single scenario, but in these scenarios with the 3 technique, all right, this is how we use it. This is another really good one from these guys. Left tackle, left guard. Overlap the double team, stay in square. All right, then you just work all the different scenarios, okay? We don't chase on our inside zones, so we're working here, the pod of, hey, the guy that we're working to, he works over the top, plays behind the double, so we don't chase it, right? And you just work all your different scenarios. The guy plugs and the guard's got to come off, all of that stuff. You guys have all worked that in the different scenarios there, okay? I'm going to switch to the power double team just real fast, and then that'll be it, okay? Because I want to show that one. Again, this double team, guys, this one and the one on the power double team, and I can send you all these clips that I'm just flipping through here. Could be a whole clinic talking of themselves. So if you ever wanted to talk about them, be glad to visit with anybody that wants to look at them, okay? All right, let me get out and get to the power stuff. All right, so gap scheme, right? Front side double team. We use what we call a high leg double team, okay? And it's designed for power, counter, G scheme, anytime where you're working one past the linebacker that's right over the double, okay? In the past, when we taught this double team, just picture 2 linemen here. Here's the D lineman. They were both kind of working at the D lineman, and we were telling them to knock the guy back. So when you think about the forces there, really physics-wise, they're working against each other a little bit. So the 2 forces, the vector that's going to come from those is going to be not as powerful. Versus if we can get some of that movement in this one going in the same direction, we can add to the force that's given by the double team, right? I know that may not make sense now, but it will when I show you what I'm talking about. So why do we use this high leg on the power stuff? All right, it's quick and violent at the point of attack. It declares the read for the running back. It's very efficient versus D-line movement. It's very easy to capture a linebacker who flows over the top of the double team, and it's easy for undersized guys. Inside man, very similar to the one I already showed for inside zone. We call it jab and crotch. Okay, they jab and crotch, second step vertical. All right. The one thing that we're going to tell them is when they get the bump from the tackle on this, they're going to torque the down lineman. Okay, they're going to try to move him down the line of scrimmage rather than vertical. Okay. Drive man, gain, gather, gain with the near leg, keeping the near leg high. We're going to try to knock the D lineman's hip with the top of our shoulder, okay, and knock him over, feed him over to the D line, to the guard, okay, if this was a guard tackle, all right. If you don't knock him over, you keep it vertical. You want to stay square. Potential for a U out, which I'll show you there in a minute, okay. Here's the full picture, okay. So the guard, very similar to what we already showed you, except he's going to try to torque it, all right? But watch the tackle. High leg, all right, trying to use the shoulder to knock the hip of the down lineman, all right? So this would be like right guard, right tackle, power or gap scheme to the right, okay? That's the Crowther work. You've already seen it, okay? Here's some near leg. Watch 77 here, not 63. 63 is a little off right here, but this is how the high leg works. See that gallop, okay? Gallop, gallop, and knock. And then I'm going to show you, again, I'll send all this to you guys. Let me show you in a game clip what it looks like when you really get this thing knocked and torqued over, okay? Because it can be really, really dominant. For a double team, okay? All right, so right here, okay, got power to the left, so you're going to be watching the left guard and the left tackle, all right? They don't get it torqued, all right, but the left guard, high leg, knock, right? High leg, right shoulder, knocking the D lineman, okay? The center has to come off because he's responsible for run through there, okay? Got some more clips of some drill work there, okay? Again, run through, all right? Get you guys one good clip of it and then of the torque, and then I'll kill it. Okay, here's the torque. Okay, so watch the left tackle, left guard. See how when the guard gets the bump from the tackle, he's torquing it. So the force is all in one direction. Rather, when we were trying to knock them straight back, we were working against each other a little bit. Here, when you torque it, you're really able to get a lot of force on the guy and then using that down shoulder. There's way more to this double team. I wanted to just kind of put it out there for you guys. I mean, literally could do a 2-hour clinic talk on just that one double team. So if you have questions or you just want to see clips, we're an open book at Catholic. I'm an open book. You guys just let me know. Hit me up on Twitter, and I'll be glad to send you guys anything you want, drill work, game clips, talk you through some of the ins and outs of the double team, why we use it, what the pitfalls of it are. Again, thank the Football Scoop guys for having me and take any questions you guys got.
And thanks for hopping on, Gabe. So one of the questions I see we've got here, and I think we might have a couple more coming in, but how much time do your running backs spend with your O-line during Indy?
That's a great question. So we do a period. It's a 10-minute period. I forget if it's on Wednesday or Thursday now that we flip the schedule around. I'm still getting used to it. I'm a creature of habit. But we do a period called tracks. And that is like our most basic run game for the week, the ones that we have the most scheme-wise against all the different fronts and the different calls that the O-lineman will make. And then the backs are responsible for knowing how that's going to affect their track. You know, this might be versus this front inside zone. We may be blocking it as the O lineman for a guaranteed cutback, right? Against this front, we're guaranteeing cutback, and the tailback needs to know that. And so we get about a 10-minute period of track work there. We get a blitz pickup period on Thursday that they go through. And then that run polish period is a really important period for the backs and the O linemen. And then it's team and inside drills. So in actual individual per week, probably talking 15 minutes, 20 minutes max per week. The running backs are with the O linemen specifically for O-line tailback work.
Gotcha. I think that's all we had questions-wise, Coach. We really appreciate you taking the time, and you got daddy daycare going on there and juggling.
Oh, yeah.
But we certainly
God bless the coaches' lives.
Amen, man. Amen. Appreciate it more and more.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you hopping on. We'll get this up here for everyone to see probably within the hour or so, and everyone can find it right there at the top where we're going to store all of our clinics. So thanks a lot, Gabe, for joining us, man.
Sweet. Thanks for having me, Doug. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
See ya.
All right, guys.